Can you hear that okay?
Yep. Will do.
I feel like it needs to be louder.
No, it doesn't.
I can barely hear it.
It's fine on my end. We're live.
Yes, we are live. Peace, love, and light.
What's happening, good people?
What's happening? What's good?
Welcome to another episode of the Love, Space, and Time podcast. I am Vernon.
And I am Misha. And we're so happy to be here on this January 26th, 2025.
Yes, on our march to 100 episodes. Imagine when we get to our 100th episode.
Ooh, yeah, we got a little ways to go. So we're going to take it one day at a time. So today we are adding another special feature, which is we're going to put affirmations to kind of set the tone for what we are doing in our show. So here we go.
I am in control of my time, energy, and focus. I release what I cannot control and focus on what matters most.
It is, baby.
Wow. I think we're going to tie that into what we're getting ready to talk about today. Because, Spirit works with me always. But first, we want to get to our sponsor for our show today.
Oh, yeah. Big up and shout out to our sponsor, Camnon Business Services. Your business needs, if you are an entrepreneur, if you have a passion that you want to turn into a profit stream, then you should get with the business advisors at Camnon Business Services. They help out new solo entrepreneurs, small business owners, and nonprofits. So hit them up, CamNonServices.com.
CamNonServices.com. Thank you, Camnon Services, for being one of our biggest supporters.
Yes.
And for our moment, our current event, we want to recognize today is the birthday of Bessie Coleman. She is America's first African-American female pilot. And her born name was Elizabeth Coleman, but she went by Bessie. And she was born on January 26th, 1892 in Atlanta, Texas.
Wait a minute. She wasn't just the first African-American pilot. She was the first woman of any race in America to have an international pilot license.
Exactly. The first. Okay. And so she thrilled audiences around the country for several years in air shows, but because of a mechanical problem, she died on April 30th, 1926 in a plane crash at the age of 34 in Jacksonville, Florida. So that is a picture of her in 1922 with her plane. And we salute you, Elizabeth Bessie Coleman, born today, January 26th in 1892.
Say her name.
Say her name. Because we have always been at the foundation and the root of greatness in this country. Some people don't want to recognize that. So we're going to take it upon ourselves to highlight our greatness and our talents, because we always have been and always will be.
Show enough. Yes, indeed.
All right. So it's about that time, babe?
Yes. Let's do it. In the words of that great sage, Tone Loc, let's do it.
Lord have mercy. Okay, so today our subject is blending families and cultures. So for those who are new to the Love, Space, and Time podcast, I am in Atlanta, Georgia, and Vernon is in Middletown, Delaware.
Yep.
And we have been in a long distance relationship for over a year now.
Yep.
And we have created this podcast space to share with you the ins and outs of our relationship, the ups and downs, the thoughts and processes that we have gone through to make our long distance relationship a success, and also to be an inspiration for others who are also in a long distance relationship. So that's how we got here.
We found that we found some of the solutions to relationship issues that so many other people deal with, whether they're in long distance relationships or not. But we've been able to solve some problems, and we've been able to avoid some problems because we take the time to pay attention to what's going on around us and how it affects us individually and how it affects us as a couple, as a team. So we're sharing some good stuff, and hopefully we can bring some more people into the conversation because you might have something good to share as well. But if we can spread some light and put some positive vibes out there and promote good, healthy, strong, enduring relationships, then I think we're doing a good thing. Don't you?
We are definitely doing a good thing. I know I can say for myself, it's definitely been beneficial to me because this is our talk space, believe it or not. This is our talk space. So we get to just talk things through here, through the podcast. So I am happy about that, and I'm truly grateful to have this opportunity. So we're going to start to go down our list and just talk about blending cultures and family. So the first thing that we have on our list tonight is some of the things that can be challenging in blended families or cultures in long distance relationships, and that is cultural misunderstandings. So when I say when I hear the term cultural misunderstandings, to me that means people who are coming from two different cultural backgrounds. So you could be someone who is living in, say, Johannesburg, South Africa, and I'm somebody from Dallas, Texas. We're going to have a different way of doing things. We're going to have a different way of approaching life. And so that is one of the challenges that you can face. It's not even necessarily about religion at this point. It's just about, how you were raised and how you do things, how you were taught to do things could be so drastically different than someone that you desire to be in a long distance relationship with. What do you think about that?
That makes sense. Traditions and culture, traditions and practices and things that you just do. Sometimes you don't stop and think, how was somebody else affected by what I consider to be regular? You might be one of those people that like to play loud music with cymbals and gongs and whatnot.
Not
Another person may have never seen a gong in their life. You might blow a ram's horn in the early morning hours or something like that. You can't do that if you're in an apartment, not in Dallas, Texas, or Atlanta. Some of those things you definitely need to consider, talk about, make sure that nobody gets blindsided by, and figure out which parts of your traditions and culture and practices will you have to let go of because you're stepping into something new, something bigger than just yourself.
This conversation reminds me of how even, people of color, Black people, can have different cultures even within our own, I don't want to say bubble, but our own way of life. And I'm reminded of an opportunity that years ago I worked at the DoubleTree Hotel in Tallahassee, Florida. And I worked the night audit shift. And I had the opportunity to work with the first person that I ever met from Jamaica. I can't remember his name. I just remember he was very opinionated and he was always trying to tell me what to do. And I rejected and rebuked him at every opportunity of trying to tell me what to do. Yes, trying to tell me what to do and how to do the job and this and that. And he would always say to me, "You American women, you're so opinionated. You don't ever want to listen to anybody, or you don't ever want to listen to what someone else has to say, or you think that you're always right." And I was like, I took offense at the whole American women thing because And from my perspective, you're just mad because I won't let you tell me what to do. But perhaps in their culture, in the Jamaican culture, somebody would have to let me know. Maybe the men are very controlling. Maybe the men want their women to be submissive a certain way, and I just was not, used to that whole idea.
Yeah, there's that's something to take into consideration. Like I said, you gotta explore every aspect of this other person and their culture that you're getting ready to immerse yourself in. What how do men see women? How do women see men in that culture? And how do they see themselves? There's some people who really feel like they're God's gift to the world, and that's just how they roll. That's their culture. Now, what happens when you get with somebody like that? You gonna smack them over the head with a dose of reality, or are you just gonna
Yes.
conform and live in resentment?
I feel like, you have to let your voice be heard and let the other person know this is where I'm coming from. And this, for me, it's a matter of respect. And, if that's something that's too much for you or too big of a mountain for you to climb, then we need to pump our brakes and, not take this situation any further, because if we're bumping heads, that's not going to make for a happy home, is it?
Right. And if you can see the warning signs early enough, save yourself some trouble.
I do have a question for our listening audience, though. Are island men, how do you find island men to be? And when I say island, I mean any of the Caribbean islands. Do you find that the men are a certain way? I would like to hear back from, women who've had experience with that. And I mean women. I don't want brothers chiming in. I want the women to comment. How do you find island men to be when it comes to, women who are of this so-called American culture? So I'm curious about that.
Women only. Leave your comments below.
And I'm going to type the question. So, yeah.
All right.
So what's next on our list?
So next on the list of challenges in blending families and blending cultures are the family resistance points. Family members may be hesitant to embrace someone from a different culture or feel uneasy about the distance. If you're in a long distance relationship, there's always going to be somebody who may not be as supportive as you would like them to be. They don't think long distance relationships can work. People just have something to say about that just because. But when you start bringing into the equation other people's cultures and those type of differences, that can really come into play. But something that I've found to be helpful in terms of how you put family and people who are not in your relationship, how you put them in their proper box and place. The people who make up my family, my community, the people that I care about, may or may not be willing to embrace the person that I bring into my life and the person that I want to be a part of that community. But one thing I'm reminded of is you can't live a life of limitation. If you find that you are around people who are, for lack of a better term, small-minded, closed-minded, if they're not willing to open up and embrace something that's different or that's new, then you have to create a safe space for you and your loved one in your new relationship. So when
I agree with that.
when the people, you have your household and the unit that you are trying to put together as a couple, then you have everything else that's outside of that. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. You may have in-law, how people have issues with the in-laws and this person and that person. Understand who matters for real in the future that you're trying to build.
It's almost like in a long distance relationship, you have two strikes against you, because, a lot of times people who are overprotective of their family member, they're like, well, who is this person? What does he do for himself? Or what does she do for herself? And what are they about? And when are we going to meet them? And then put on top of that, oh, they don't even live here. It's like, wow, it's like people fully expect it not to work, or for it to, fall flat or not be successful, based on the fact that you're not in the same city with your person. And I think it's a great opportunity to introduce your family to different concepts and let them know that, just because you're not in the same city with a person doesn't mean you're not going to be in the same city with them forever. And number two, it doesn't make your relationship any less valid.
Right. True that. And in
So,
relationships, if you're serious about being in a healthy relationship, you're gonna end up educating a lot of people, because you'll be thinking along lines that most people don't think. You're thinking about things and seeing the value in things that a lot of people can't get. So
mhm,
understand where everybody else is coming from. Understand where people are coming from. If they don't get what you're into, if they don't see the possibilities that you see,
mhm,
you will have to be patient with people. And depending on how adamant they are with their opinions about what you should be doing, again, you may have to distance yourself. You gotta love people from arm's distance at some points.
mhm, mhm,
But you do have to make it a point to bring people along as best you can and give them time to grow.
mhm,
And they don't want to grow, let them stay where they are.
mhm, mhm, mhm. And one other thing too that it's kind of like a challenge in long distance relationships. If you're in the same city with your partner, you can do impromptu get-togethers. You can invite people out to the park, over to the house to come have, hang out and do whatever you're going to do together, or go to brunch or go to the movies. And that's how your family gets to know your person, because they're able to spend that casual time around them. So it's challenging in a long distance relationship because you don't have that opportunity to say, all of a sudden, or do something spontaneous, come over and hang out with us. And, honestly, from my perspective, by the time you spent so much time away from your partner and you get the chance to see that person again, it's kind of like you want to keep them to yourself almost,
Mhm.
you want to recreate, or have that special time with your person. And it may not be at the front of your mind to say, okay, let's go hang out with my other people. It's kind of like, no, I want you to myself while you're here, because I know that your time here is going to be limited. That's how I feel.
That makes
And
sense.
that can be a challenge because your family sees that this person is here, but dang, you didn't invite us to come, hang out. So it kind of like, it definitely has to be something at the forefront of your mind to say, okay, I know you're only going to be here for 3 or 4 days. Let's make sure we include the family in this visit.
Yeah,
I'm gonna raise my hand and spank my hand
especially
for
when
that.
you know that you're getting to the point where you're really moving towards blending your families and blending your lives together. Then yeah, that's when it's time to start including other people. So when I go to visit you, because we're at that point, yeah, I'm looking for the opportunities to say, okay, well, when do we all get together? How do we put this together? We don't necessarily want to call a family meeting, for
Right,
something like that, but you want to
right,
have something that feels natural and that gives people time to get used to one another and feel comfortable with one another.
right, right, right. Yeah. And so in those impromptu meetings that you have, or even the planned meetings, not just the impromptu ones, but you get to see all of the family dynamics that are occurring within your family. And so it's like, okay, oh, I see this person and this person together, and they don't really talk to each other. Or
Mhm.
these people, they're the chatty ones, that are gossipers. These are the troublemakers. You get to see all of those family dynamics that we all have.
Good, the bad, and the
Hmm.
ugly.
Good, bad, and the ugly. True that. So, and then, the next one, we just really just talked about that. Like, when you have limited time to spend with your person, that's limited time to kind of like integrate it. So it's kind of like you have to look at the long haul. Like, okay, we may not be able to do everything now, but over time we'll be able to incorporate, the family visits or hanging out or going to dinner. It may take a little bit longer for all of those things to take place.
Hmm. And depending on how much time you have, you can put as much pressure on yourself with the time thing as you want. If you're looking at the bigger picture and you realize things take time and it's going to take the time that it takes, then everything will fall in place when it's supposed to. But if you feel like if you start telling yourself the story, we got to do this and we got to do this and we got to do that. Sometimes you can
That's
put
undue
more
pressure.
Yeah, you can put more pressure on yourself and on the relationship than it needs to be. So just keep that in mind also.
Absolutely. Let's not put undue pressure on ourselves. And then the next point just kind of coordinates with or flows into what we already said. We're already apart from each other. You know, sometimes we can't always be so spontaneous with our visits. So, you know, it's just another challenge because if you have events going on with your family and your partner is not able to get there each and every time, you know, it can be a challenge. It definitely can be a challenge. But there is an answer for everything. Give thanks.
That's right. And you got to be realistic, depending on if you're dealing with somebody who's a couple of countries away, then yeah, they might not be able to
Imagine.
be there at everything that you want them to be there for. There may be some special events that they just can't make. You got to give people some grace and you got to be realistic about things.
Oh my gosh, you know, you just made me think about different relationships that I've seen. You know, 90 Day Fiance, I talk about them all the time. They are literally countries apart. I complain about, you know, having to see you every 30 days and taking a 2-hour flight, but imagine not seeing your partner for 6 months or 10 months or a year. Imagine that. So I'm going to stop complaining.
Yeah.
At this very moment, I am going to stop complaining.
There's people who are on the International Space Station with families and people who are exploring Antarctica and whatnot, and they got families that they're away from. So if you think you have it tough and difficult, there's somebody who is always in a much more intense situation than you. So be thankful for what you got. A lot of people are loving the fact that they can get on Zoom or StreamYard or Facebook or whatever and really interact. You can interact with a person whenever you want to, but you can either look at the glass as half empty or half full.
Half empty or half? Mine is half full.
Half full. I'll put my half full half. You're gonna have a full glass soon.
We sure will. We sure will. So, how do we overcome these challenges? So, let's share some tips with the space timer so we can make things happen, make our ride a little more smoother, make that transition more smoother, and hopefully get to having happy family times.
Mm-hmm. All right. One thing that can be done to overcome the challenges is cultivate cultural curiosity and respect. Take the time to learn about each other's culture. If you're coming from a different place than the person that you're in love with and that you're looking to build a future with, then yeah, take the time to actually find out what's going on with them, where they come from and what are they into. It's almost a disservice to say that you're going to be a significant other to a person and you don't even bother to find out what they value, what they care about, what's important to them.
Right.
How are you going to call yourself, the significant other for this person, and you can't?
You don't know nothing.
You don't know nothing. You can't even look out for the things that are important to them because you don't take the time to find out what's important to them. So yeah, take the time to read, watch, discuss, and there's no shortage. You can look up YouTube videos on just about anything you want to learn, and
pretty much
familiarize yourself with stuff. So you can do that. Create celebrations and things that you can do and form new traditions around together. You can incorporate cultural and meaningful ways, whether it's holidays, whether it's this time of year, we always eat this dish and whatever it is. There's always a way to share and invite someone into what you're into and expose what you're into to the other person.
And be open-minded too. When your partner is sharing something with you, be open-minded about where it is that they're coming from or what they're sharing with you, because if you are serious about this person, this is also going to become a part of your life. So be open.
Right. That's a trademark of people who are should be, if you're in a healthy mature long distance relationship, then yeah, you're open minded about a lot more than the average person is. But if you're going
Correct.
into a
I agree with you
relationship,
on that.
if you're going into if you call yourself being a long distance relationship with somebody and you got more drama than good stuff, then you might want to pump your brakes and, figure out some things about yourself, about
Mm-hmm.
relationships in general, and about the person that you're with, because you're learning and being exposed to something new that you really can't run or can't hide from or can't ignore. So
Right,
take the
right.
time to learn and grow from it.
Yeah, and you definitely want to know very early on if it's something that you can actually live with.
Hmm.
You know, don't just romanticize and oh, he's so cute and he got so many muscles or whatever. But when you guys get in the same household, you realize you don't agree with some things that are going on that you could
Hmm.
have had a conversation about a long time ago.
Yeah.
But now you about to create this situation that's going to blow up in your face because you
Hmm.
didn't talk about it.
Lots of problems can be avoided.
Certainly can. Okay, so next on our list, virtual introductions to our family. So we were talking about this earlier, and um, I don't know that I would do like a virtual, like a Teams meeting with my family, but I would definitely consider doing like a movie night or some type of maybe an online game that we can do together to kind of like break the ice because I haven't gotten quite yet. Like, um, I think my family is like taking a wait and see attitude, and that's fine. I've kind of kept them over here a little bit because I want to make sure that, I'm comfortable before I start sharing, like intimate details of things. So I would definitely, feel good about a movie night or some type of online video game to help us break the ice. I think that's a good way to start.
Yeah, icebreakers are good. It doesn't have to be all stiff and rigid. You said Teams meeting. Nobody's thinking about a virtual teleconference to introduce somebody to your intended, your loved one. So,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
yeah, there are lots of fun ways that you can start introducing the person that you are in a relationship with your people.
I like the next one. It says that you can share your favorite traditions or your recipes.
Mhm.
I like the idea of recipes because I do like to cook. I don't cook as much as I used to, but I do like to cook. And I think that when you come across something good, especially food, I think that the acceptance rate of that is very, very, very high. Who would turn down a good recipe? I know
Right.
I wouldn't.
Especially if you're, two foodies. We see
Yes.
stuff online. We get excited about, oh, look at this. Oh, look at that.
And we share recipes all the time. Fun fact
All the
about us.
time. Yep. All the time.
Yeah, I
Sometimes
made
we get
something
inspired to cook the same thing. You cook cod today and I cook cod today, right?
yes, and I made this curry chickpea soup, which is amazing. Like I'm trying to get more into making a lot on Sunday so that during the week I have my
Mhm.
leftovers, which means I'm not swiping my card and spending all this
Mhm.
money on eating out. That
Right.
is the goal, to keep my money in my pocket and not pay for lunch every day.
That part right there.
I'm getting there. I'm doing better.
Good for you. Good girl.
So anybody who has any good recipes that you want to send to me, please do so.
Yeah,
And
you
then
want
also,
to connect. You can
and then
share
also
it.
too. Hmm?
I was just going to say, as a matter of fact, if people come across some good stuff, they can always come to the Facebook group,
Yes.
Love, Space, and Time LDR group. That's where we interact and drop a lot of good gems and good gifts, things that we have to offer. And nice little community is starting to form there. So come on and interact. If you got some good recipes, we're always looking for some. Share what you got.
Yeah, and also too, I want to encourage people to share, the different things that are good, that are going great in their relationship. Share those positive notes so that you can get the support um, that we all like to get when things are going great in our lives and in our relationships. Don't be afraid to share it. It is a safe space. And then the last point says to keep your families informed about milestones or events in your life. So, you got a raise at work, share it with your partner's people. Something good that happens in your life.
You get a raise, though. You might not want to share that.
I'm just saying that as an example. Just saying that as an example. If when something great happens in your life, get on the phone and text your partner's cousin. Hey, guess what happened to me today? I did X, Y, and Z. So hopefully they'll be open to exchange numbers and everything. And that's the other thing too. You got to get the phone numbers. You got to get the social medias if that's how they, connect with the world. So that's how you can share that information. Mm-hmm. But you got to talk to people to be able to get that. Can't stay with your mouth closed. You got to open up.
Got to be some basic introductions that take place. Once the doors are open, you're in a relationship with somebody. It's on you to kind of do what you can to open doors so that they can get that exposure to the other side, and it's on them to do the same for you. But once the door has been open, once the dots have been connected, you did exchange numbers. You're both on social media, and I've recommended this one to that one as a friend, and make your presence felt. Don't be overbearing with it, though. Don't do too much. Don't share too much. Don't be on there just doing the most, as they say.
I was going to say that the feeling definitely has to be mutual, because I'm not one to chase anybody. I'm not a chaser. If I get that energy that you want to talk to me and be in communication with me, then I'll be happy to. But I certainly don't want to feel like I'm beating somebody over the head to talk to me. Yeah. I don't think anybody wants to feel that way.
And understand, but in due time, personality types. You could just you might have just been introduced to an introvert. So if they're not all meeting you every day and sending you texts and this and that and the other, you can't take it personally. You got to take the time to learn the people that you're getting introduced to and learn the culture and the little nuances of the people that you're getting introduced to. It takes time sometimes. So,
and I think it has, and I think it definitely has to be a balance of observing and asking questions. Don't be the bump on the log and never say nothing. Right. And don't be the person that's talking everybody's ears off. A healthy balance of observing and asking questions, and not being, prying into, people's personal situations. But I'm sure our listeners are intelligent enough to know when to hold them and when to fold them, right?
Of course, because people who love across space and time, they are above average people anyway. So
absolutely. Where's Marty Pants? Okay. All right. So we're do we have time to get through one more at least? We're at 30 minutes already. All right. So address resistance with patience and communication. I think that we were just kind of alluding to this.
Yeah.
Sometimes people, not saying we are this, but sometimes your family has seen you just go through hell and back with your relationships. Or you're the type of person who loves to be in love, and every week you got a new boyfriend, you got a new girlfriend, or you've been through your share of toxic situations, and they are really just kind of like, oh, we hope this one works out.
Or they don't even care no more. They're like,
or they don't care no more. They have seen you come. So sometimes your family can be hesitant about even hearing about the person that you're involved with. So, as the 4 agreements would say, don't take it personally. Don't take it personally.
That goes back to what I was saying before. You gotta let people be where they are. And if they're reacting based off of history and the baggage that they're carrying, okay, well, no problem. Give them time to, get the good impression that you're going to make on them.
Yes, give them time to get that good impression that you are going to make on them. And so the next comment says, show your commitment, demonstrate that your relationship is serious and that you're taking steps to integrate both families. That takes time.
We did some of that.
That takes time.
Year. We had the family reunion, and you came to the family reunion, and that was a great opportunity for people to get used to
I was
seeing
so
you.
nervous. I was so nervous.
It's always fun to watch that type of scenario, but
It was
that
not
was
fun to be in it, in that scenario.
I knew that it would be good if I start people getting used to seeing you and seeing that you're included in the things that I'm included in. That's how you open the door. That's how you start to bridge the gap. You know, back in the day, you used to have the pirates would want to marry the people who were the land warriors because, you know, they wanted some goats and they wanted some chickens, and the land warriors wanted to be able to, you know, get across the river without being attacked. So, you know, they had to create those bonds and create those alliances. That's why certain marriages used to take place back in the day. And
Exactly.
then eventually you find out, okay, well, you know, those are my people too.
All right then. For the goats and the chicken and the fishes, we give thanks. And last but not least, be patient. Don't try to force anybody on anybody. You know that's your partner. You know you want to be with that person. At the end of the day, you're the only person who really has to accept that. It would be nice if your family is coming with open arms in the beginning. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. But at the end of the day, like you said, babe, you're creating this household for yourself.
Yep.
You two are going to be in that household. So that's what's most important. And but it's definitely amazing when your family can circle you with love and support as well. Sometimes it takes time. Don't be mad at them. Just give them time and be patient, right?
True that. True that. You're in your lane and you're running your race. And everybody else, they can either come along with you or they can, you know, stay on the sidelines and cheer you on or boo or whatever the case may be. But if you just focus on you and the person that you're asking to join with you and take the journey with you, then your trip will be as enjoyable as it can be.
Absolutely. So in closing this section, I'm going to jump all the way down, babe, so you can see where I am. It says activities to help blend families or cultures. So the first one talks about cooking because we both like to cook, and I feel like that's a great idea. We kind of have similar backgrounds.
Long distance relationship. I said, can you cook together in a long distance relationship?
You absolutely. We've done it before.
We've
done it before. We've cooked together on the video. We made food together.
That's true. We do that all the time, as a matter of fact.
We do that all the time. We're very proud of ourselves.
One of our favorite places to have these little, you know, our daily interaction is the kitchen. So
yes, because you're always in there and humming something. I said, look at this man.
Humming and dancing and cooking.
Humming and dancing and cooking. That's a happy soul right there. I love it. But we have a lot of similarities in our cultural background. You know, both being, I'm from the South and you're from the big city, but we still have cultural things in common. And I like the fact that, you know, we both like to cook and we just share our experiences around cooking. So I really, really enjoy that and appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I am glad to let you have the duty and responsibility of cooking our meals.
I'm guaranteed to have something I like.
Yes, you are. And I'll probably like it too. So
works out well.
Oh, and the next one says storytelling. Encourage both families to share personal and cultural stories. And I think that that's a beautiful thing because, you know, we want to get our history from our elders while they're among us. Isn't that a beautiful thing to sit with grandma and grandpa and have them share, you know, their experiences growing up and all the things that they went through to get to where they are so that the younger generation can have a knowledge of and a sense of, you know, where their family came from.
Something to think about. The uncles and the aunts and the cousins that like to tell stories and tell jokes and, you know, share what went on in the family history and whatnot. Those are some of the best first introductions to make. If you want to get in good with the other family, introduce to those people. That way you're interacting with the people who want to interact with you.
Absolutely. Yep, the uncles that, always want to tell you what happened back in the 60s and the 70s when they was coming up. Oh yeah, that's good information right there. That's good stuff.
Back in the day. And a lot of
Um,
times, you know what, this is pretty, in some cultures, I'll say, it's a lot of the time that type of thing gets lost because there's
mhm.
some cultures where they just don't talk about the family past. They don't talk about what went on and what their people have gone through. So sometimes you can actually hold on to a gem when you come in contact with the people who have that information and you show an interest in learning and hearing what happened and what people have gone through.
Mhm. Yep, you definitely need to know who your family is. So all of that needs to be talked about and uncovered.
Yeah.
Sometimes these men with Rolling Stones, especially in the South, got children everywhere. You never know. You dating your cousin and don't even know it. That happened to me when I listen, for real, no jokes. That happened to me when I was younger. I wasn't even like getting out of the house and dating or whatever, but I was talking to this boy on the phone and he turned out to be my cousin. Like for real. I had no idea. My grandmother said, "Girl, that's your cousin."
That's why you got to get out and explore the world. You think small, you be hemmed up. You be in a very bad
Hemmed up on the
situation.
phone, talking to your cousin with the cord stretched down the hallway on the phone.
Right,
I
right.
digress. That happened to me. That's wild. And last but not least, spend time practicing each other's tradition to understand their significance. So you really get up close and personal with the tradition of your partner's family.
Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful thing because it definitely does expand who you are as a being because it helps you to understand other people.
Hmm. I learn a lot about life that way in general anyway. I really appreciate different cultures.
Hmm.
And, I like learning and growing in that way. So one of the best ways to really start to see people more clearly, see where they're coming from, is even if you don't practice what they do culturally and practice their traditions, just take the time to learn
Hmm.
something more than what you already know about yourself and about other people. You might amaze yourself
Hmm.
by
Probably
taking
will.
the just taking the time to find out what people are into, what makes them tick, why they are the way they are, and the stuff that they do.
Hmm. I'm putting something in the chat here. So whoever comes behind us, I want you to answer this question.
And again, to make it easy on yourself, let go of judgment, let go of
Mm.
your opinion and what you think you already know when you're learning
Hmm.
about somebody else or learning what they do and why they do what they do. Just take it as a blank slate, gain some knowledge, gain some understanding before you form an opinion about what
And
people.
it and it's one thing to read something in a book. It's another thing to actually get your hands in the dirt and experience it for yourself.
Mm.
You will learn so much more with being physically present and doing something, as opposed to just reading in a book.
That's right, and that puts you in the above average category because a lot of people don't do that. Unfortunately, the world needs more of that. But
Hmm.
we can be those lights that seek to understand other people before we start forming opinions and putting people in categories.
Hmm. Yep, that's where we are today.
Surely isn't.
That's where we are today. All right. So we have reached the end of today's episode, Blending Families and Culture.
Yes.
Once again, we want to say thank you, thank you, thank you to our fabulous sponsor, Camnon Services.
Yes. The good folks over at Camnon Business Services are waiting to help you. So hit the website, camnonservices.com, and schedule a free consultation. As a matter of fact, if you got some ideas or some game plans that you need help working out, They will sit with you, spend some time, and help you to chart a course for the future. So camnonservices.com. Hit them up.
And we want to give another birthday shout out to Elizabeth Bessie Coleman.
Bessie.
Oh my gosh. Hold on one second. I've got to get her thing back up here. There she is. America's first African-American female pilot. She was the first woman of any race to have an international pilot license.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing to me. That's amazing to me. We have been making history since we got here. Show us some respect. Put some respect on our name.
Somebody had to do it first. Why not her?
All right. Absolutely. So if nothing else, thank you for being with us here on another episode of the Love, Space, and Time podcast. You can find us on Facebook, Love, Space, and Time. You can join our group on Facebook, Love, Space, and Time LDR group. You can find us on Instagram, Love, Space, and Time podcast. And of course, right here on YouTube. We appreciate you and we love you. And we want to see you back here again next Sunday.
Good stuff, folks. Peace and blessings.